Hello, everyone. Before we begin, hey, I've got a new book out. That's right. It's a short novelette. It's almost 14,000 words, 36 pages of blood and humor. It's a horror comedy called Brookhaven. It's a slasher comedy set in a retirement home. But these old people are not your typical ones, and they are kind of feisty, and they will fight back. And right now you can pick it up for just $1 at the link in the description. So I really hope you want to check it out. I'm excited to share it with you. And check out all my other links down below also, where you can sign up for my newsletter, join me on social media, and read some free short horror stories written by me over on Wattpad. All right, let's get on with the video. All right. So the book I'm excited to discuss today is called Holy Ghost Road by John Mantooth. This book is coming out on December 20th, so just a few more days. And of course, I will have a pre-order link right down there in the description, so you can go ahead and pick up your copy. And you certainly want to. This book is like it's an occult horror with a road trip, and it's basically about good versus evil with a great protagonist and enough close calls and enough tension and enough thrills to just keep your interest all throughout the book. Basically, it's about a girl named Forrest. She lives in a town in the South, and it's a very religious town. It's basically almost run by the pastor of the local church, Pastor Nesmith. He's a fanatical one. He preaches that good old fire and brimstone, everybody's going to hell for their sins kind of thing. But he's got the whole town wrapped around his finger. They're all members of this congregation, including her dad and the rest of her family. And one night, our protagonist, Forrest, she goes into her family barn, and she sees the good reverend basically worshiping a demon, a demonic entity. And she gets caught. And she knows she can't trust anybody in that town, but she has to get away now. Her life is going to depend on if she can get away from not only the pastor, but his congregation and the demon itself. But the only person she can really trust is her grandmother. Her grandmother, throughout her life, has been her greatest ally and has also tried to teach her in the ways of magic and spiritual things that would not sit well with people of this congregation or in this church. The trouble is, her grandmother lives about 40 miles away. And Forrest, she has no car, she has no phone, she has no friends. And so a game of road trip cat and mouse ensues, with the pastor and the demon and the pastor's congregation hot on her heels as she has to make this trek by herself on foot. And along the way, she's going to meet some people. She's going to come into some situations. And, we're going to find out that sometimes maybe the thing she's running from isn't the worst things out there in the world. This is a very exciting, fast-paced book set in the southern United States. And it has all those, southern writers just seem to know how to spin a yarn. I think it's part. I'm from the north in the United States, so I'm a Yankee. But I've always loved the way that Southern people tell a story and can tell it extremely well to keep you interested. because it's more about the journey than it is the destination, you know. And John does that wonderfully here. I was enthralled throughout. As soon as she experiences this pastor in her family barn doing this thing with the demon, you know that things in the church, despite what he preaches, is and the hold he has on this town, is something more to do than with just religious fervor. Because he's almost got a death grip on that town, including the police, and like I said, including her family. And she has nowhere to go, nobody she can trust. And throughout the book, she's going to encounter certain people and find herself in certain situations that when you're reading is just going to fill you with tension and dread, because throughout the book you never know if this pastor and his cohorts and this demon, if they're going to catch up with her. But we do know one thing. We know this from the beginning. If they do catch up with her, it is going to end very badly for Forrest. Now, she does meet a man along the way, but not at first she doesn't trust him because, like I said, she can't trust anybody. But it's someone she's not familiar with. And when he offers her some kind of help to get to her grandmother's house, she really has no choice but to trust him. So there's that element too. Is this going to be? Is he going to turn on her at some point in the book? Their relationship is not one based on complete trust at first. But you'll find out what happens there once you read this book. This is a well-executed, good versus evil road trip story, a cult horror that you have to put on your reading list. You definitely need to pick this one up. It's exciting. I loved it. I devoured this book. I think I read it in about a day and a half because I just had to keep turning to find out what's going to happen to Forrest. Is she going to make it to her grandmother? Because throughout this book, her grandmother can kind of communicate with her in her mind. Not really like a strong psychic link, but her grandmother can give her hints and kind of, Forrest can feel her grandmother turning her in the right direction, sometimes giving her the help she needs in a especially precarious situation or situations she finds herself in along the way. And you can see the bond there between her and her grandmother. And the character of Forrest is just fantastic. She, in a situation like that, you can see somebody like her reacting the way she does, making the decisions that she does, and it gives it a sense of reality. So you're really drawn into this book and into this world. There are elements of folk horror in here as well. And I love how he just puts these smatterings of other genres mixed in with this fantastic book. Yes, I highly, highly recommend Holy Ghost Road by John Mantooth. It's just a thrilling, exciting, fast-paced occult horror that'll have you on the edge of your seat, and you'll keep turning those pages to find out what happens to Forrest, because she's a great character. And Pastor Nesmith, he is the ultimate antagonist. He's a really bad guy, and his intentions are not good, and that's apparently clear. And so who's going to win? Is she going to get caught? Will the demonic entity be unleashed? All those answers, or all those questions, will be answered for you once you read this book. Like I said, there is a pre-order link down below. It's coming out on December 20th, just a few days away, and I highly recommend you pick this one up. And also, as I said down below, you can pick up copies of my books I got a book of short horror stories called The Things That Happen at Night. My new novelette, I guess you can say. 36 pages. Comedy horror called Brookhaven. Be sure to check those out. Join me on social media and all that good stuff. And as always, I want to say thank you for taking some of your time and spending it here with me. I really appreciate you guys watching. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.